So the workshop in Bethesda was a very special event which came about because of the CTRad initiative in drug radiotherapy combinations. And in a paper that we'd published a couple of years ago, we brought together a few key stakeholders that had not previously been brought together before. So academia, pharma, the regulators, and consumer groups. And as a result of that unison between those stakeholders, we produced an important paper that led to the need for a much bigger workshop held by the AACR, FDA, and ASTRO to really broaden this to an international perspective. The workshop was a massive success. For me, having more than 400 participants involved, both in the room and online, was fantastic. And for me personally, I think there were three key things that came out of it. One was the involvement of the regulators and how open-minded they were to work with us, that's academia, and to work with pharma and with consumer groups to really improve outcomes for patients. Secondly, I think the involvement of patients has been fantastic here. And for example, having patient-reported outcomes incorporated into studies is a definite output from this workshop. And thirdly, the whole field of immunoradiooncology is exploding, with the number of trials increasing every month. And this workshop has helped provide guidance in order to prioritize some of those clinical trials and their endpoints. So I think that will be a very, very important output from this workshop. So the outcomes of the meeting can be divided into short-term and long-term. So in terms of short-term outcomes, the whole meeting is available as a webcast. So that is a really important resource for investigators. There will be a paper that will be published in an international peer-reviewed journal, and that is being written jointly between the US and the UK investigators. And in the longer term, I think we will see some of these endpoints that we discussed, particularly patient-reported outcomes, and some of the interesting endpoints for immunotherapy of cancer being incorporated into the trials, which should help patients with cancer. So patient involvement has been a key component of this process right from the start. So we had a couple of consumer advocates on the group right from the start, Helen and Tom, who've helped us all the way through this process. And in the actual workshop in Bethesda, it was absolutely essential that we had a patient advocate on each of the panels for the discussion. And they really helped reinforce the patient perspective in all of those discussions rather than it becoming more abstract and too scientifically focused. So there was always someone to bring it back to what really matters to patients. And I don't think we could have done it without the patient advocates who were there.